Welcome back everybody. Today I'll be talking about the 5 things that I would personally like to see appear in Security Breach. This is not a top 5 list, so will not be in any order of how much I would want to see them in game. So with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. Now, I feel like this first thing absolutely has to be in Security Breach.
But why should miniguns be required to be in Security Breach?
Oh, if you don't know, Balloon Boy's behind the camera, so if you hear him, that's where he is.
Hello?
But to answer your question, I feel like this is required because it would be a real shame to have a golf course, a bowling alley, and a racing car arena in the game, but not be able to interact with any of them. Not only that, but having these mini games would make the gameplay a lot more varied and more interesting. So I hope this current delay was to add in these mini games. Okay, so now I have to start off this one by saying I kind of got the idea from Dawko. Basically, the way I see it is that this is a post-game mode where you could just explore the mall without any threat of being attacked by animatronic. And just as the name says, this is set after the events of Security Breach, where it's kind of the morning where it's nice and bright. So basically, it's a lot less creepy.
So combine this with the miniguns and it would mean you can play them in peace.
Exactly. Without any threat of animatronics, you can just relax and just play in minigames, just have some fun. But not only that, but since there's not that threat, since you're not constantly looking behind your back or running, you can slow down and just explore the mall and look at all the hidden details and just take it in. Oh, you've just caught me rereading Silver Rise. Now, why do I bring up this book? Well, it's because the main premise of this idea comes from the main setting of the Silver Rise, that being an abandoned Freddy Fazbear's Pizza that eventually had a mall built around it. Now, I think you can see where I'm going with this idea. Essentially, I feel like it'd be a cool idea to have either FNAF 1 or FNAF 2 built into Security Breach a similar way to the pizzeria in Silver Rise was, a hidden location found in a giant mall. Now, whether this is brought in through the story or is simply an Easter egg, I don't know which would be more interesting, as if it was brought into the story, this is where essentially you could have the last showdown with the new Springtrap. Now, I'll elaborate further on this later, as I'll just jump right into the Easter egg part, as I feel like if it's an Easter egg, it's not told to you where it is, so essentially the player can stumble upon this location by themselves, which would be really fun and interesting, and you would feel a sense of pride finding this. Now, another reason why I feel like this would be a cool idea is because it'd be really nice to see FNAF 1 Pizzeria or FNAF 2 Pizzeria in the graphics of Security Breach and in ray tracing.
But your computer cannot run ray tracing.
I know, you don't have to rub it in. Now, what I mean by this is that I feel like Security Breach should have a gameplay sequence inspired from the likes of classic FNAFs, that being FNAF 1, 2, and 3. Whether or not this is done through the abandoned pizzeria that I just talked about or through mall, I'm not sure which would be better. It just depends on whether or not they do the idea of the abandoned pizzeria. Now, before I explain the 2 reasons why I think this is a good idea, I need to explain the 3 ways this could be done. This could either be a gameplay sequence that's just put into the story, or the 2 ways that Sister Location does it, that being a boss battle and a post-game mode. If it's the boss battle, then it can be heavily inspired by that of Ennard. Except instead of Ennard, it's a new Springtrap. Now, as I mentioned in the past idea, if they do the abandoned pizzeria idea with FNAF 1 or FNAF 2, well, then you can have your boss battle with Springtrap there. Now, the other method is a post-game mode that's essentially harkens back to the original. Now, the 2 reasons why I'd like to see this is, 1, it'd be really interesting to see old gameplay and old mechanics brought into new graphics along with the new characters. Now, the second idea is a lot more important because, just as I said with the minigames, this idea will help to make Security Breach feel less monotonous and stale, as because instead of doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're given something to kind of vary up the gameplay. Now, I don't really think this idea needs an explanation.
Yes, it does need an explanation.
Fine. The reason why I would like to see a VR mode in Security Breach is because it would help to make the game a lot more scary. Just imagine being in the mall and all of a sudden Montgomery Gay appears out of nowhere and attacks you. I just feel like with how well they did Help Wanted, I feel like they could also bring that great VR experience into Security Breach. So those are the 5 things that I would like to see in Security Breach. With the exception of the minigames, none of these really have to be in the game. It's just stuff that I personally would find interesting. What would you like to see? leave it in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, have a wonderful day.